Wah, eta bendera gagah amat eta.
Waktu zaman kejayaan.
Wes,
Sama ini tuh, kalau Pak Jum tahu ini di tempat mana saya berdiri itu tahu Pak Jum di rumah ibu. Oh, Bapak Hamid, lama amat,
Ya, Pak Didi gimana?
lama nih Pak Ketua nih, jarang undang-undang Pak Ketuanya Pak Fahmi ya. Jarang.
Juga di
ah,
suasana
background
terbakar
geus
ini.
di background udah di share di room chat.
Oh kan, ya, saya tanya room chatnya orang mana kan baru dong.
Orang itu saketi.
Ciandur, Pak Jum hafal tuh Ciandur.
Pak Fahmi, boleh kita mulailah.
Udah 27 angka keberuntungan. Tambah lagi, siap.
Ya.
Udah bisa masuk, Puan? Iya, kami sama-sama, Puan.
Siap mulai, Pak Ketua?
Sudah, alhamdulillah sudah datang semua narasumbernya.
Oke, Bapak Ibu, kita mulai acara pada hari ini.
Oh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, respected speakers, and participants. Good morning, His Excellency Mr. Olawande Olowoyeye, MBA PhD candidate from Sparrow Educational Foundation, Nigeria. His Excellency Mrs. Associate Professor Haryati Binti Abe Wahid, PhD from University Sultan Idris, Malaysia. His Excellency Mr. Associate Professor Dr. Heri Erlangga, MPD from Pasundan University, Indonesia. His Excellency Mr. Ahmad Rozi MM, CPHCM, CEO Amal Insani Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the opening ceremony of the second Amal Insani International Conference of Economic, Technology, and Humanities. Today, Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. It's my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to the second Amal Insani International Conference of Economics, Technology, and Humanities, hosted by the Amal Insani Foundation. Today, we gather to exchange knowledge, insight, and expertise on building a character, a culture of entrepreneurship in higher education to SDGs 2030. My name is Fahmi Firmansyah, and I'm delighted to serve as your master of ceremony for this prestigious event. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference is not only a place to share knowledge, but also to build a collaborative network across fields and countries to support the development of global science and innovation. Let me briefly walk you through today's agenda. The first agenda is opening. Let's open this event by reading Basmalah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
The second agenda is a speech that will be delivered by the CEO Amal Insani Foundation, Mr. Ahmad Rozi, SAMM, CPHCM. Time and place, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. Bis- Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. To Honorable Mr. Olawande from Nigeria. Hello, Mr. Ola. Mr. Ola, are you here? Okay, next. To Honorable Miss Haryati binti Abdul Wahid. Good morning, Miss Haryati.
Good morning, Bapak
Yes,
Rosie.
I was trying to. Sorry, I've been here. I was trying to put on my screen.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Ola.
Yeah,
You,
it's a pleasure to see you again.
okay, thank you. And the last, good morning, Mr. Heri Erlangga.
Morning, Mr. Oji.
Thank you for coming and join to my event. Maybe this first your event in my uh, event Amal Insani Foundation. And to Honorable Miss Alice Badria as host today. How are you, Miss Alice?
I'm good.
Thank you. And the last, Miss Fahmi, thank you. Fahmi,
Yes,
thank you ya. Uh, and the last, all participant to honorable. Alhamdulillah, segala puji hanya untuk Allah. Mudah-mudahan kita selalu diberikan kesehatan, keberkahan dalam setiap aktivitas yang kita jalankan. Salawat serta salam semoga selalu dicurahkan kepada junjungan kita Nabi besar Muhammad SAW. Hadirin sekalian, Bapak Ibu, para peserta webinar internasional atau seminar internasional pada hari ini. Ini adalah kegiatan kedua dari seminar internasional yang sudah dilaksanakan oleh Amal Insani Foundation. Dan insya Allah ini akan menjadi agenda tahunan. Tahun kemarin, tahun 2024, kita menyelenggarakan seminar internasional dengan menghadirkan kawan baik saya dari India, yaitu Mr. Avinas Pawar. Dan tahun ini, di tahun 2025, di second event, kita menghadirkan dua narasumber dari luar negeri, yaitu Miss Haryati atau Puan Haryati dari UPSI Malaysia dan Mr. Olawande dari Nigeria. Ini menjadi sebuah prestasi yang luar biasa buat Amal Insani, mampu menghadirkan event-event internasional di setiap tahunnya, dan semoga ini akan terus berlanjut. Event seminar internasional ini dilaksanakan dengan dua maksud. Yang pertama adalah sebagai rangkaian meramaikan atau memeriahkan Sewindu Amal Insani atau Disnatalis Amal Insani yang ke-8. Jadi tidak terasa Amal Insani Foundation sekarang sudah memasuki usia yang ke-8 dan terus berkiprah dalam berbagai kegiatannya, terutama menyebarluaskan pengetahuan, menyebarluaskan informasi yang bermanfaat untuk kita semua. Yang kedua, tujuan atau maksud dari kegiatan seminar ini adalah membangun silaturahmi intelektual antara kita sebagai masyarakat akademik di Indonesia khususnya dengan teman-teman yang berada di luar negeri. Dalam hal ini adalah Malaysia dan Nigeria. Silaturahmi intelektual ini menurut saya penting untuk kita laksanakan atau kita giatkan dalam rangka mencari atau menambah perspektif baru dalam melihat berbagai persoalan-persoalan yang berkembang secara nasional ataupun internasional. Harapannya pada kesempatan siang hari ini atau pagi hari ini kita mendapatkan insight, ya, mendapatkan perspektif yang lebih luas tentang bagaimana topik seminar internasional ini kita hadirkan. Seminar internasional hari ini adalah mengambil tema tentang bagaimana membangun budaya entrepreneurship di kalangan perguruan tinggi. Ini menjadi penting menurut kami. Sebuah perguruan tinggi akan mengalami lompatan-lompatan kemajuan manakala dibalut oleh semangat-semangat entrepreneurship ataupun semangat-semangat kewirausahaan, di mana kita tahu bahwa nilai-nilai entrepreneurship itu merupakan hal yang sangat positif untuk kita miliki. Oleh karena itu, 3 narasumber ini mudah-mudahan bisa menghadirkan sebuah perspektif yang lebih luas terkait dengan bagaimana membangun perguruan tinggi menjadi maju, menjadi lebih berkembang dengan nilai-nilai entrepreneurship. Saya kira itu yang bisa saya sampaikan. Akhirnya saya mengucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi pada para narasumber, Miss Haryati yang jauh-jauh dari Malaysia, kemudian Mr. Ola dari Nigeria, dan tetangga dekat kita, Pak Heri Erlangga dari Bandung. Ya, asli nama orang Serang ya, Cek. Dengan cicing di Bandung.
Serius?
Serius.
Ayo.
Oke, bisa ngomong jasek mana lagi. Baik, terima kasih. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Billahi fisabilil haq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Okay, thank you for the speech from Mr. Ahmad Rozi, SAMM CPSCM. Okay, next, the third agenda is a panel discussion that will be guided by a moderator. Okay, before it, thank you for your attention and for attending. And next, we will enter the main session, which is a panel discussion. And in this session, extraordinary speakers will share their insight and research result. To guide this session, allow me to introduce our moderator, who is Elis Badria, SAMM. With her experience and expertise, this session will certainly be interesting and innovative. And then, without further ado, I will hand over this session to Elis Badria, SAMM. Time and place, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fahmi. Okay, let me open the session. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, firstly, I'm greeting to Mr. Roji, Mr. Fahmi, and all the speakers here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you for joining us today in 8th anniversary of the Amal Insani Foundation at this conference of Amal Insani International Seminar in Economics, Technology, and Humanities, or IESET 2025. Is it true? IESET. Okay. On topic building a culture of entrepreneurship in higher education to SDGs 20 and 30. It's a pleasure to see you, all of you here, and we are excited to dive into today's discussion for our amazing panelists today. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Alice Badaria, and I will be your moderator today's sessions. Before we jump into the discussions, we know that this time is a crucial topic, especially in recent years. The world has witnessed increasing recognition of urgent needs to address global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, and also the environmental degradation. And even in Indonesia, we face a range of social, economic, environmental challenges. And so, the innovative approaches are essential to address them sustainably. Okay, so today we are truly privileged to have such an amazing group of speakers with us today. They bring a wealth of knowledge, expertise, and also experience in a building of a culture entrepreneurship, especially in higher education. And I'm sure we are looking forward to the value insight that our finalists will bring today. Okay, without further ado, now let me introduce our first speaker for today's seminar, Profesor Madya Dr. Haryanti binti Abdul Wahid. Prof. Haryati is an expert in education, business, and entrepreneur. She was a lecturer from the Faculty of Management and Economics, University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, Tanjung Malim, Perak, Malaysia. And Prof. Haryati will be discussing about empowering tomorrow, entrepreneurship culture in higher education toward SDGs 20 and 30. Please join me in welcoming Prof. Haryati to the stage room. Let's give applause. Okay, good morning, Prof.
Morning, Madam Chairperson. How do you do?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking the time to attend this seminar. Okay, all right. Let me introduce our second speaker for today's seminar from Sparrow Educational Foundation, Nigeria, Mr. Olawande Olawayeye, MBA, PhD. Hello, Mr. Hello, Mr. Ola.
It's good to be here.
Okay.
Thank
Dr. Ola,
you.
Dr. Ola is international trade relationship expert, event management specialist, strategic and result-driven with over 15 years of extensive experience in international trade relation, business development, and also an event management. And Dr. Ola will discussing about fostering entrepreneurship in higher education, a catalyst for achieving SDGs 20 and 30. And also, please join me to welcome again Dr. Olawande to stage room. Hi,
Thank you.
Dr. Ola.
Thank you.
Okay, we are looking forward to learning everything from you here.
All right.
Okay, and the third speaker for today's finalist is Professor Dr. Heri Erlangga, MPD. Prof. Heri is coming from Pasundan University, Bandung, Indonesia.
Yeah,
Hello,
thank
Prof.
you.
Heri.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you. Okay, to shorten the time, we have to begin this seminar. For Prof. Haryati as the first speaker, Dr. Ola is the second speaker, and the third speaker is Prof. Heri. I announced that each of you has 20 minutes to present the material, and after completing the presentation, we will open the Q&A portion. Okay, for the first speaker, Prof. Haryati, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Alice, as the conference chairperson. Okay, thank you for inviting me. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning to all distinguished guests. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah. We do.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Okay, good morning, everyone, especially the esteemed guests, okay, and also distinguished academicians and conference participants, okay. First and foremost, I would like to express my deep gratitude to the CEO of Amal Insania Foundation, Mr. Ahmad Rozi. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad Rozi, and also the secretariats of the second Amal Insania International Seminar of Economics, Technology and Humanities 2025. And also it is known as ISET 2025, right? Thank you again for inviting me. Okay, it is a great honor and privilege for me to share with all of you the insights on empowering tomorrow, entrepreneurship culture in higher education towards SDGs 2030. Do you have the slides with you, Madam Chairperson? Could you please display it for me?
Okay, wait.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first slide. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay, thank you. Okay, basically this presentation aims to highlight the critical role of higher education in fostering an entrepreneurial culture that aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals, or we know it as SDGs. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so why I choose the phrase empowering tomorrow? Actually, it is more than just a vision. It is a call to action for all of us here today, because I believe that many of us here are academics, right? Am I right? Academician, right? Okay, this phrase encapsulates actually the urgency of preparing today's educators and students with the tools and mindsets to tackle the complex challenges ahead. All right, so higher education is not just about imparting knowledge, but it is about driving change. So in this context, fostering, still okay. All right, so in this context, fostering an entrepreneurial culture in higher education is not just important, but it is essential. So by embedding entrepreneurship into our education systems, we empower individuals to think creatively and also adapt to change and contribute meaningfully to the evolving needs of the society. So this entrepreneurial mindset is actually at the heart of empowering tomorrow. Okay, it is how we ensure higher education becomes a true catalyst for the SDGs progress. Okay, Ms. Alice, the next slide, please. Before we move to the roles of higher education towards achieving the SDGs, it will be good if I could share a glimpse of what SDG is. As you can see on the slide, okay, Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, is known also as global goals, with the aim to create a better and more sustainable future plan for everyone in the world. So basically, there are 17 SDGs that was introduced during the United Nations Annual Assembly back to 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So with the goal of achieving all of these SDGs within 15 years, okay, by year 2030. So it is more or less like 5 years from now. So among the 17 SDGs, ranging from SDG 1 to SDG 17, SDG 4 here, okay, is the main focus related to education. So which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all of us in the world, okay? So therefore, universities as social agencies have a strong relationship with achieving these SDGs, not only for higher education, but for the society as well. So next slide, please, Ms. Alice. Ladies and gentlemen, for each country, each goal is led by a dedicated ministry to plan, to implement, to monitor and report the SDG performance under the purview of each lead ministry. So here, each lead ministry is empowered to coordinate multiple stakeholders' initiative in meeting the targets and indicators. So to achieve these SDGs, collaboration is essential. So lead ministry can play a crucial role in creating policy frameworks and fostering partnership that bridge higher education with national and global priorities. So, and for Malaysia, okay, our Ministry of Higher Education is entrusted to attain the quality education. So actually there is no singular correct way to integrate the SDGs into an educational institution. So it is recommended that the best practices and the best place to start with the SDGs is to look at what we are already doing now and try to map it before looking at where we can contribute more. So next slide, please. When we think of, ladies and gentlemen, when we think of entrepreneurship, typically we will think of the effort it takes to start a business, right? So, and why is this culture of entrepreneurship so important in higher education? Ladies and gentlemen, entrepreneurship culture, by definition, can be referred to as a set of values, beliefs, and practices that foster an environment, a conducive environment to entrepreneurship innovation. So moreover, in the context of higher education, the aims is to create an environment that encourages creativity, problem solving, and the ability to identify opportunities, which is really important for the entrepreneurs. So this is the crucial elements that we need to improve our society. So here, higher education is a vital platform to boost the SDGs. If universities foster an entrepreneurial culture, they have the great potential to produce graduates who can create opportunities, not only for themselves, as well as for others. So therefore, universities need to offer curricula that promote critical thinking, resiliency, and also entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial thinking, because this is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, which is a call for collaborative and innovative approaches towards addressing the global problems. Similarly, Malaysia and other educational institutions in the world have successfully launched programs that integrate entrepreneurship into their interdisciplinary studies, right? And also they have put efforts to encourage students to apply their knowledge to the real world challenges. So students have developed solutions, many solutions to address pressing issues such as building mobile health application to support the healthcare in remote areas, and also establishing community-based food supply networks. This is just to mitigate the disruptions. So these examples highlight the power of fostering an entrepreneurial mindset to transform scholars and also students as the learners, from passive learners to active change agents. At the same time, we can be the school for future innovators. So an entrepreneurial culture in higher education is really crucial as it fosters innovation, enhances employability, support entrepreneurial ventures, contribute to the regional development as well. And the most important is to ultimately stimulate economic growth for the country. So next slide, please, Ms. Alice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are starting to see how universities are going to play at least three key roles in fulfilling the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. The first role is to expand human capital. So to expand human capital with the SDG perspective. So first, by training students to understand how the SDGs are going to make their work better and more sustainable is really important, because the SDGs should not only be in most, but of most disciplines. So it is not about memorizing or learning the 17 goals that what I showcased just now, but it is about embedding sustainable development principles across disciplines. So the SDGs are not isolated goals, but are instead deeply interconnected. So universities will need to educate their students on the social, on the economic, and also environmental implications of their future careers and also professional works. So to train as the knowledge provider and also training provider for new training programs for non-university students. How to do this? Okay, we can use the power of massive open online courses as a clear example of what can be done in this realm. So what can be done, and many more hybrid training formats will contribute towards continuous lifelong learning modalities. So here, entrepreneurial skills are needed to promote such programs and generate funds for the universities as well. For instance, in Bangladesh, it is really a prominent professor called Muhammad Yunus who had introduced the social entrepreneurship movement among students at the university. So nowadays, social entrepreneurs in Bangladesh, they have created microfinancing platforms that enables low-income families to break the cycle of poverty there. So inspired by this, universities globally are embedding microfinance and also social business concepts into their curricula. So this could empower students to replicate such models in their communities. So with this social entrepreneurship approach, the poverty issues can be addressed. So the poverty itself goes beyond the lack of economic resources for sustenance, but it also manifests itself as social and political exclusion in discrimination. Okay, so universities can be the mover, okay, in order to attract students and staff as well to involve in social entrepreneurship endeavor. Okay, next please, Miss Alice. Okay, research related to SDGs. Okay, the second role that is important is research related to SDGs. Researchers at universities have a privileged point to look at the different viewpoint of SDGs, try to understand what approaches are more effective, and analyze the process of how to implement the 2030 agenda to be a successful one. Some of the research topics, okay, will require the researchers to develop new conceptual frameworks, okay, interconnections, okay, and correlations among different goals that we have. Okay, so research actually will help, okay, but also the opportunity cost, if not investing sufficiently in the SDGs. So here action-oriented is suggested, okay, action-oriented research is suggested to be a necessary methods of research, okay, in order to help addressing not only addressing the SDGs, but addressing the global problems and also challenges. Okay, this is in line with the attention to underline similarities and differences between countries and also territories. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. From the role of observers, university can increase their potential to become the actors in multi-stakeholders partnership for the SDGs. So here, higher education needs to showcase the SDG implementation. For example, university researchers and students are frequently participating hands-on projects with their expertise, with their time, and also financial resources. So they can contribute to knowledge transfer and build the tools that the SDG will require. So universities do indeed invest in research, right? Then research and development. It is a trend that becoming more frequent in the academic world. However, it is important that university development projects are not isolated and integrate the larger efforts that include government, civil society, and also the private sector. All right. So, for example, through social entrepreneurship, we can do lots of research. Okay, and some of the research recommendations more suggesting that more sustainable social enterprises be developed to cater every single beneficiary, such as the poor, the disabled, the aborigines, the old citizens, and many more underprivileged groups. Next slide, please. Okay, there are several examples of how higher education can propagate the SDGs agendas. Okay, this is the first one. I would like to relate it with education. So in SDG 1, it is with the aim of no poverty. So we want to end the poverty in all its forms everywhere in 2030. So it is so true by leveraging all higher education capacities and capabilities, the aim to attain no poverty in the SDGs is possible. So I would like to quote Nelson Mandela. Okay, Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." So SDG 1 is the first of the 17 SDGs of 2030 that serve as the foundation for the fulfillment of another fundamental human rights, such as access to the education, health, and also wellness. So higher education here is found committed to creating inclusive, supportive, and also empowering learning experiences for all, and has implemented a variety of support programs to assist low-income students. So many universities, I believe, offer subsidies, offer financial aids, and provide support in critical areas such as food for the student, housing for the students, okay, transportation for the student, and legal services for the students. So students from low-income families, we are actually helping them to complete their studies without undue financial strain. So higher education also remains accessible and affordable, reflecting government's commitment to advancing educational opportunities for all. In Malaysia, for instance, the low-income households categorized or called the B40 group, B40, okay? So this B40 representing the bottom 40% of income earners in Malaysia. So what we can do to help reduce the number of Malaysians living in poverty? We need to educate the B40 children first. So the intensifying efforts to reduce students' attrition through enhanced financial and also academic support will ensure all students, including the PhD student, okay, have the resources and environment, and also will make them feel comfortable in the environment, and they can succeed academically, inshallah. So these are what a university as a higher institution is basically doing. All right, so committed to creating an inclusive, supportive, and empowering learning experience for all. Next slide, please. So for SDG 2, the aim is to eliminate hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition among people in the world, and promote sustainable agriculture. So as an example, entrepreneurial initiative in the university, I would like to take the example from Africa. Okay, one of the university in Africa, they have demonstrated remarkable success in addressing hunger among students. Okay, students and researchers have developed drought-resistant crops. Okay, and also sustainable farming practices there. So this will directly improve the food security and also resource food security in the resource limited areas. And also another excellent example is from Netherlands University, okay, which is renowned for its focus on food and sustainability as well. So by engaging students in hands-on project, students can create with their supervisors, they can create sustainable food systems, okay, or reducing waste in agriculture. So the university actually bridging the academic learning with real-world applications. So I believe that that each university has its own forte and what they are good at, so they can fully utilize the entrepreneurship culture to leverage the potential in accelerating the SDGs. So vividly, higher education role in achieving the SDG is multifaceted, encompassing teaching, research, and also community engagement. All right, next slide, please. And the third example is good health and well-being. So here, SDG 3 is concerning about the health and well-being of the human mind and also body. So to ensure healthy lives and promote health well-being at all ages, we need to use our capabilities, our capacities, okay, to promote mental and also physical health through various areas, okay, such as development of we can develop the healthcare institutions, okay, mental health care services at higher learning, so that students and also staff have easy access to affordable healthcare and substance abuse issues. For example, the development of healthcare institutions in university, it can be materialized using the green building technology, for example. So university can frequently as well, okay, organize any carnival related to health and well-being. So this effort is believed to encourage health, happiness, and also well-being among university staff, and at the same time to polish the business talents among students, because during the carnival, they are expecting to sell goods, right? So during the open carnival as well, university can create a local healthy lifestyle network with the community nearby. Right, next slide, please. So here, SDG 4 is our forte, which is quality education. So education is human right that governments and also other public bodies should guarantee, so that all individuals from early infancy through adulthood have access to high quality education to develop all of their qualities and talents, allowing them to reach their full potential as human and also as members of and quality education for all and promote lifelong learning as well. Goal 4 aims to guarantee universal access to quality education and opportunities for lifelong learning. So this goal further advocates for greater and more equitable access to quality education at all levels. So here we need to eliminate discrimination in education, all right, by enhancing the numbers of individuals with skills, all right. That's what I told in no poverty issues. And then, we can take the example of Finland University, Finland country, because they had launched the Startup Refugees Initiative, where government agencies, academic institutions, and private enterprises collaborate to integrate the refugee entrepreneurs into the economy. So these programs demonstrate the power of the power of collective action, okay, in driving meaningful changes. So for sure, universities and higher education and also higher education institutions are always welcome to propagate the agendas. Like one more example is from Japan, the University of Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. They had collaborated with Ministry of Education to integrate SDG-based learning into primary and also secondary schools, so that primary and secondary education system. So this will ensure the alignment with SDG 4, which is quality education. So this approach builds a foundation of awareness and also responsibility among future generations. Similarly, Malaysia, we also have the Malaysia's higher education blueprint that emphasizes entrepreneurship education as a strategic pillar. So through one of the program, which is called CEO at Faculty, students are engaged with industry leaders to gain insights from the industry leaders, how to apply, how to practice the entrepreneurship that aligns with national development goals. Okay, next, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, the journey towards SDGs 2030 is just 5 years ahead to be fully achieved. So this requires bold action and unwavering commitment for sure. So empowering tomorrow means fostering an entrepreneurial spirit in higher education, enabling individuals to think creatively beyond the traditional boundaries, and also try to address the pressing issues of the nearby societies. So let us draw inspirations from these examples that we have discussed just now and continue bridging the entrepreneurship, education, and the SDGs together. So together we can create a future where innovation meets inclusivity and where knowledge drives meaningful change for all. Last slide, please. Okay, in closing, the pursuit of SDGs agendas demands innovation, collaboration, and a deep sense of purpose. So higher education institution is believed to be the unique institution that will take charge by nurturing entrepreneurial mindset and also fostering partnership that drives sustainable impact. So as the academics, let us reaffirm our commitment to empowering tomorrow's leaders through education, innovation, and also unwavering dedication to the SDGs. With that, I end this presentation by reciting Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam.
wabarakatuh. Applause for Miss Haryati. Okay, wow, it's such an amazing materials. I tell you to all the participants as we go through the presentation or panel discussion, please feel free to ask a question. You can submit your question on chat room, and then we will address them during the Q&A session in the end of after the third speaker. Okay, thank you, Miss Haryati. Okay, we jump into the next speaker. The second speaker is for Dr. Olawande. Mr. Ola, hello. Hello, Dr. Ola. Are you already here? Hello? I see him in the room, but there is no connection.
Yes, I'm just in between meetings, you know. I'm just trying to multitask here because was I thought the meeting was going to start early.
Okay. Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
We can start now, Mister, for the
Okay. Can I request that maybe I just sort out something on 5 minutes, then I'll come back.
Oh, okay. You can be the thread speaker or
Okay, yes, perfect.
is it
Perfect.
okay?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. To
All right.
Mr. Harry, is it okay? You have to present for the second speaker,
Oke,
Prof. Harry.
upload. Ya, oke, siap, siap.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, for the second speaker is Prof. Harry from University of Pasundan, Bandung, Indonesia. Okay, the time is yours, Mr. Harry. Could you do you want to me to help to share the material?
You see?
Yeah, it's already seen.
Oke, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sampurasun, good morning.
Rampes.
Wilajeng subuh, kira wong Serang. Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to presentation international seminar ya, EICIT 2025. Thank you, Mr. Roji Al-Ustad, best my friend, okay, all the committee for the international seminar. Okay, I will use a mixture of English in Indonesian ya. Saya mohon izin untuk menggunakan campur saja karena audien juga banyak dari pribumi ya.
Oke, Mister. Bilingual ya.
Saya lebih bisa komunikatif. Oke, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying a few words about my presentation, about my own background ya. Title the presentation, The Spirit of the Development of Entrepreneurship ya. Of the development of entrepreneurship in higher education. This presentation is the result of research at the civil state and private campus. Jadi memang ini hasil dari penelitian yang pernah dilakukan di beberapa kampus, baik kampus negeri ataupun kampus swasta. Saya tidak jelaskan kampus mana saja supaya lebih netral saja. Oke, my profile.
Profesor nih, associate professor padahal.
Ya, insya Allah. Maikum 704. Jadi sedikit lagi ya. Ada Profesor Bambang Suseno di sini. Mudah-mudahan tidak lama ya untuk mencapai 850. Oke. Beberapa pengabdian ya dari
Kalau si orang Malaysia tadi itu ya sederhana banget, cuma karena dia pakai bahasa Inggris berarti keren ya. Isinya sederhana.
experience lecture in Pasundan University, graduated have been produced data seperti ini, oke. Kemudian membina beberapa mata kuliah ya, Coursework business policy, business leadership, entrepreneurship, and business organization behavior. Nah, data di bawah ini penting sekali. Ya, beberapa NIN number, Sinta ID number, Orchid number, Scopus number, ya, Google Scores number, Pablo ID, Garuda ID. You are to publish Google Scholar, Sinta Index, and etc. Jadi saya mendorong pada kawan-kawan yang berkiprah di kampus sebagai lecturer ya harus memiliki ID-ID ini sebagai jendela publikasi kita. Sehingga kita bisa saling untuk berkomunikasi lewat media yang ada ini, bisa saling follow ya, Mrs. Associate Professor Haryati, Sultan Idris, saya akan coba follow Anda untuk berkomunikasi ya, riset kit, dan yang lainnya bisa kita lakukan ya. Olowanda juga sama demikian. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my presentation outline 7 points. Number 1, introduction to the statement of problem. 3, purpose of the study. 4, innovation. 5, research method. 6, discussion, and 7, conclusion. Yeah, introduction. The selection of this title was based on the NCT toward entrepreneurship education phenomenon in higher education, which has only been introduced in 90%. Jadi latar belakang dari penelitian yang pernah dilakukan ini memang keprihatinan ya, bagaimana selama ini dunia perguruan tinggi dalam memahami entrepreneur itu yang memang masih baru sekali untuk di Indonesia. Kita pernah mendengar istilah entrepreneur itu atau kewirausahaan di tahun 1900-an. Dan itu sangat jauh sekali dengan negara-negara maju lainnya. Dan kita tahu bahwa data-data di beberapa sumber kalau negara ingin maju itu memang tingkat populasi entrepreneurship itu harus di atas 4% ya dari populasi penduduk negara itu sendiri. Ya. Okay, the number of universities and higher education, big cities offering at least on class of entrepreneurship is increasing every year. Dan kita bisa lihat beberapa kampus ya. Boleh silakan di kampus-kampus Bapak Ibu yang sekarang mengabdi juga bagaimana dari beberapa mata kuliah yang memang ada yang berkaitan dengan entrepreneurship itu masih sangat jarang sekali. Ya. Jadi scarcity sekali. Kita lihat bisa selama ini kita tahunya yang pemahaman tentang kewirausahaan itu ansih untuk ekonomi ya. Kita harus akui itu. Dan ini kita juga melihat bagaimana progresnya ini ada perkembangan lebih baik lagi. Oke. Nah, ini penting untuk jadi renungan ya. Bagi kita semua yang ada di dunia perguruan tinggi. Nah, yang berikutnya adalah for higher education are still limited to merely creating graduates as job seeker instead of graduate as job creator. Kita paham benar bahwa ketika output lulusan perguruan tinggi itu dihasilkan, itu berorientasi lebih kepada job seeker, pencari kerja. Ya, apalagi dengan era DGS segala macam ini, tadi Puan Haryati bagus sekali untuk menyampaikan beberapa pemahaman tentang tantangan ke depan yang tidak bisa kita anggap sepele gitu. Jadi bagaimana merubah orientasi job seeker ini untuk merubah menjadi open mind untuk menjadi job creator. Ini yang harus kita pikirkan. Silakan di sensus, di survei setiap lulusan perguruan tinggi ditanya setelah lulus mau kemana. Rata-rata mencari kerja, gitu. Mencari kerja, melamar kerja, atau melamar pujaannya, gitu ya. Atau dilamar oleh orang kaya dan seterusnya. Nah, ini fenomena yang kita harus sikapi. Baik, berikutnya adalah for the lack of integration between entrepreneurship, education, and the structure of curriculum. Because problem related to entrepreneurship mental, spirited itself from the industry sector, and cause lack of orientation to business development and business opportunities. Nah, kita harus betul-betul di sini bisa melihat bagaimana memang fenomena yang terkait dengan pendidikan kewirausahaan ini dalam struktur kurikulum kita harus akui masih sangat minim. Sehingga ini menimbulkan permasalahan terkait dengan mentalitas kewirausahaan yang belum terbangun pada mahasiswa atau stakeholder internal, para dosennya, tenaga pendidikannya, karyawan, dan seterusnya. Dan seolah-olah memisahkan antara dunia pendidikan dengan dunia industri kan gitu. Jadi kampus cukup menghasilkan sarjana yang tidak memiliki skill yang cukup, tapi dia kemudian dilepas dan dia gagap ya, dengan dunia industrinya. Kalau kita melihat sekarang tantangannya sangat berat sekali. Sehingga orientasinya yang tadi itu bukan berorientasi kepada menciptakan ya job kreator ya, tapi dia berorientasi pada job seekers. Nah ini menjadi permasalahan yang memang harus kita pecahkan ya. Bagaimana kita ingin membangun dalam konteksnya spirit entrepreneur in higher education ini bisa menumbuhkan semangat yang tinggi ya, untuk mahasiswa terutama lulusan yang akan dihasilkan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the statement of problem, the issues raised in this research is related to the strategic and development of entrepreneurship program, focusing on yang pertama itu philosophical problem. Jadi secara problem yang sangat filosofis ini adalah bagaimana memaknai, memahaminya tentang membangun sebuah kewirausahaan, memahami makna dari kewirausahaan itu sendiri. Proses problem, entrepreneurship development policy. Kita harus bisa lihat di kampus kita sendiri, apakah kebijakan pengembangan tentang entrepreneurship ini sudah terstruktur atau memang parsial. Nah, itu penting sekali. And then result problem, the impact of entrepreneurship development. Dan ini masalahnya yang kita harus coba bangun, bagaimana kita melihat dari dampaknya untuk pengembangan kewirausahaan ini, terutama untuk kampus, untuk mahasiswa, dan stakeholder internal. Dan bagaimana kita harus menciptakan model, ya, strategic problem ini, the search for model and strategic of entrepreneurship development in higher education. Jadi harus ada juga model pengembangan kewirausahaan di perguruan tinggi. Nah ini penting kita pikirkan ya, Bapak Ibu. Oke, the purpose of study dari riset yang saya lakukan ini ingin menggali bagaimana pertama adalah examine the meaning of entrepreneurship development at university. Jadi bagaimana memahami terkait entrepreneur itu sendiri dalam pengembangan university. Jadi harus bisa betul-betul menjadi satu program dari kampus itu sendiri. Apakah menjadi sebuah renstra-nya begitu, Karena sekarang banyak sekali kampus sudah mulai mengedepankan visionnya entrepreneur university dan seterusnya. Itu boleh sebagai spirit, semangat dalam membangun mental entrepreneur di lingkungan kampus. Kemudian kita ingin lihat bagaimana examine the benefit of entrepreneurship development at university. Tentu di sini kita harus bisa melihat bagaimana keuntungan yang bisa didapatkan ya tentunya dari pengembangan kewirausahaan di perguruan tinggi. Kemudian berikutnya ada bagaimana kita harus melakukan reviewing the strategic policy entrepreneur development at university. Ya, lakukanlah sebuah kajian, tinjauan bagaimana kebijakan strategik untuk pengembangan kewirausahaan di kampus. Yang berikutnya adalah analyze the implementation of entrepreneurship development policy to stakeholder that lead to the soul of entrepreneurship. Menganalisis bagaimana pelaksanaan implementasi entrepreneurship ini menjadi satu kebijakan. Kebijakan kampus dan melibatkan stakeholder ya di dalamnya semuanya, sehingga itu akan menjadi jiwa, menjadi ruhnya begitu. Entrepreneur itu menjadi penggerak ruhnya dari pengembangan kampus itu sendiri. Kemudian kita coba lakukan analyze the implementation of entrepreneurship development program at university. Ini bagaimana kita selalu menganalisis juga implementasi pengembangan entrepreneur di program di kampus terutama, dan kemudian analyze the impact of entrepreneur development program on university. Dan terakhir dah test model of entrepreneurship development strategy at university. Jadi outcome kita harus buatkan bagaimana model yang bisa dikembangkan ya dalam pengembangan kewirausahaan di perguruan tinggi ya, higher education. Ini tidak tahu apakah menjadi sebuah wacana atau latah ikut-ikutan, atau kita bisa melakukan langsung secara implementatif. Nah, dari riset ini, ya, yang bisa dimunculkan menjadi satu innovation, ya, entrepreneurship, there is knowledge, we need learning by means of. Yang pertama itu transfer of knowledge. Ini bagian dari result yang memang coba kami lakukan, saya lakukan. Transfer of knowledge. Entrepreneur is science and ada ilmu, ada referensi, ada narasi, ada literasi. Jadi ada ilmunya. Entrepreneur itu ada ilmunya. Secara aspek filosofis itu kuat sekali. Banyak beberapa teori yang mengungkapkan. Saya yakin juga kalau mendengar entrepreneur itu tidak asing ya. Bapak Ibu semua juga pernah menguping gitu. Tapi dari riset ini coba saya bagi pemahamannya. Bahwa yang pertama itu transfer of knowledge itu penting. Ya. Kewirausahaan itu ada ilmunya. Jadi kalau ilmu ya very important transfer of knowledge. Perlu disampaikan bagaimana menyampaikan ilmu ini. Nanti dalam masuk rekomendasi dari riset ini adalah pentingnya untuk mengintegrasikan kurikulum kewirausahaan di semua kurikulum prodi yang ada. Anda perlu dipikirkan Bapak Ibu. Pengalaman saya diberi kepercayaan di bidang akademik dulu 2 prodi tidak mudah untuk memberi pemahaman transfer knowledge bahwa ini entrepreneurship kewirausahaan ada ilmunya dan perlu untuk masuk di dalam kurikulum perguruan tinggi. Seperti itu. Sorry. Tayangan masih ada ya, moderator?
Bapak punten 7 menit lagi.
Ya, tayangan masih ada ya?
Masih.
Oke. Baik. Yang berikutnya ada transfer of values. Jadi di samping knowledge, transfer knowledge, ilmu. Kemudian yang penting transfer of values juga. Bahwa kewirausahaan itu menanamkan nilai. Ada added value yang bisa diberikan kepada siswa akademika, khususnya mahasiswa. Kalau masuk dalam kurikulum, dia dapat ilmu dan perubahan sikap mental akan ada begitu. Jadi mengenal istilah entrepreneur itu tidak asing yang pertama. Yang kedua, added value yang dia dapatkan bagaimana menanamkan kemandirian, bagaimana menanamkan kreativitas, bagaimana harus menunjukkan inovasi. Nah itu transfer of values. Dan transfer of practices adalah ini yang banyak memang dipahami ketika mendengar kewirausahaan. Saya yakin mayoritas pemahaman Bapak Ibu dalam forum ini pun adalah orang berdagang, orang buka usaha, dan seterusnya. Itu tidak salah. Karena itu yang dipahami dalam realitanya adalah transfer of practices yang memahami entrepreneur. Nah sekarang bagaimana kita mencoba untuk 3 innovation ini bisa diimplementasikan di tempat kita masing-masing. Baik Bapak Ibu, saya persingkat. Jadi hasil dari riset ini memang menggunakan qualitative approach ya. Dan bagaimana dari sisi aspek filosofi aspeknya ini kita bisa melihat bahwa memang penting sekali untuk memahami ya, bagaimana entrepreneur ini menjadi satu ilmu yang bisa ditransfer knowledge-nya, transfer of values-nya, dan transfer of practices-nya. Yang kedua, tentu kita akan melihat bagaimana benefit dari pengembangan entrepreneur di produk ini. Dan ketiga, the entrepreneur program is media provide the values independent and confident, yang memberikan kepercayaan diri, kreativitas, inovatif skill, ya, from the aspect of process. Kemudian, nah ini penting sekali. The entrepreneurship program can be studied from the aspect of curriculum. Jadi memang harus masuk dalam kurikulum semua program studi, departemen, faculty, and university. Nah, kita sedang membangun bagaimana semua program studi kurikulum untuk kewirausahaan itu terintegrasi. Jadi apakah mata kuliah fakulti atau university, itu harus menjadi satu kesatuan. Dan penting sekali, special policy, bagaimana kebijakan yang memang harus ada di kampus itu. Tentu dari yayasan, kalau perguruan tinggi swasta, atau rektor, lead university, memberikan kebijakan tidak setengah-setengah untuk mendorong bagaimana semangat kewirausahaan ini memang terbangun dari tingkatan yang paling bawah sampai kepada elitnya. Nah, yang berikutnya memang ini kita perlu sekali untuk memunculkan bagaimana dalam hal praktisisnya entrepreneur ini perlu strategik dan perlu model yang bisa diterapkan. Baik Bapak Ibu, sebagai telahan literatur, sebagai bahan discussion-nya silakan cari referensi Raymond Cow ini boleh, atau yang referensi lainnya. Hanya buku ini waktu itu masih langka, saya dapat juga di Singapura ini. Tapi saya coba perbanyak saja kepada teman-teman yang membutuhkan waktu itu. Baik. Nah, sebagai conclusion-nya, bagaimana kita ingin menerapkan pemahaman entrepreneur ini menjadi semangat di perguruan tinggi. Yeah, there is narrow meaning building toward entrepreneurship a view saying that entrepreneurship is essential with what's entrepreneur or a business with corporates. Kemudian yang kedua sebagai kesimpulannya, entrepreneurship development program is seconded to one of them, the implementation of entrepreneurship course subject into the curriculum structure which strengthens the soul of entrepreneurship. Harus masuk kewirausahaan itu dalam kurikulum, ya, struktur kurikulum, karena itu akan menjadi jiwanya dari entrepreneur. Kalau tidak ada kesungguhan dalam kebijakan, itu hanya omon-omon saja, kata Pak Prabowo ya. Yang conclusion 3, the implementation and administration of entrepreneurship program still face challenges, in part because of people incorrect view on university entrepreneurship. Ya, harus betul-betul menjadi program yang dilaksanakan untuk berkembangnya universitas yang menuju kepada semangat entrepreneurship. Dan yang kesimpulan terakhir, conclusion for entrepreneurship strategy and development require business incubator model, NBIC, functioning on incubating business potency with internal creative entrepreneurship, modern knowledge and technology-based entrepreneurship. Jadi perlu ada inkubator bisnis. Mulailah membangun inkubator bisnis. Incubator model. Ini perlu dilakukan. Kalau rekomendasi yang kami coba sampaikan, mulailah dari tingkat departemen, prodi, ada inkubator bisnis, fakulti, atau university, atau dibalik, top down, diberikan dorongan dari tingkat university sampai ke tingkat top down gitu ya, atau bottom up, silakan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You appreciate my presentation. Sorry, semoga bisa bermanfaat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hatur nuhun pisan Prof. Heri atas pemaparan materinya dan masukan-masukan untuk khususnya di untuk perusahaan university ya, terkait dengan spirit in entrepreneur in higher education. Okay, everyone, we are going to the third speaker for today. Wait. Okay, we are going to the third speaker today. Please welcome Dr. Olawande. Okay, the time is yours.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, and my apologies for delay earlier on my speech. And so, thank you for having me here today, distinguished guests, Rosalie, esteemed panelists, the honored participants here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Sorry, I won't go back to my slide. Okay. So,
Do you want me to help you to share the material?
can you see it? Are you seeing my screen?
Hello, mister. We couldn't hear your voice.
Are you seeing my screen? Can you see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Yes, already.
All right, thank you very much. So with immense gratitude and privilege, I am honored to be at the second Amal Lisani International Seminar of Economics, Technology, and Humanities, the ICET 2025. And we gather here united by a shared vision to build a future where education is not just a pathway to knowledge, but a powerful engine driving innovation, sustainability, and progress. And our theme today is building a culture of entrepreneurship in higher education to achieve the SDGs 2030. You know, it escapulates the pivotal roles education must play in shaping a world where creativity and problem solving leads to a better tomorrow. Today, I'll be delving into the intersections of entrepreneurship and education, you know, highlighting how they synergize to address the global challenges. I will draw upon practical strategies in Indonesia as my case study, and also explore Indonesia's journey as an expiring case study and offering insights that we can replicate and scale across the globe. Thank you once again for having me here. Entrepreneurship is the bridge to a sustainable development. You know, at its heart, entrepreneurship is the art of turning challenges into opportunities. And when woven into the fabrics of higher education, entrepreneurship becomes the driving force behind sustainable economic development, poverty alleviations, and environmental stewardship. By aligning entrepreneurial initiatives into the UN SDGs, we equip students not just to build businesses, but to become solution architects, solution engineers, innovative students for global issues like inequality, climate change, and access to quality education. Like I said, I'm going to use Indonesia as my case study. The story of innovation and resilience that Indonesia has come up with. With Indonesia's rich cultural heritage, and entrepreneurial spirit, Indonesia has emerged as a beacon of innovation. Programs like the Millennial Farmers Program illustrate how entrepreneurship in agriculture has empowered young Indonesians to address the SDG 2, which is the zero hunger, by improving food security through sustainable practices. Similarly, the Bandung Institute of Technology fosters innovation through entrepreneurship trainings, enabling students to launch startups in clean energy, digital health, waste management that are directly contributing to the SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy, and also SDG 11, which is the sustainable cities and communities. So you agree with me that this example reminds us that when higher education institutions embrace entrepreneurship, they unlock potentials that are far beyond the academic walls for the students. Yes, there are challenges, we have challenges to embedding entrepreneurship in higher education. Despite its promise, integrating entrepreneurship into higher education is not without challenges. We have various challenges, and I'm going to be sharing 3 of them today. I'll share 3 challenges, and I'm also going to share our proposed solution to those 3 challenges. Number 1 challenge is that we have a traditional academic co-structure. Many curriculums globally remain rooted in a rigid framework, emphasizing theory over applications. We are not being realistic with our curricula. These days, most curricula is all about theory. There are no practicals. I know. So number 2 is the resource gap. We have limited funding, we have limited infrastructures, limited mentorship, which hinders entrepreneurial endeavors. There's a lack of global connectivity. Many institutions, globally operate in silos, missing opportunities for international collaborations and knowledge exchange and transfers. What are our proposed solutions? We should have a transformative curricula. We should move beyond traditional lectures, right, to experiential learning, practical learning models like hackathons, business simulations, and real-world projects. We should embrace innovation hubs and incubators, establish dedicated space within universities for students to experiment, prototype, and scale their ideas. Higher institutions should, dedicate spaces, to experiment ideas, innovative hubs and incubators. This is lacking in most higher educations of today. Then there should be a cross-sector partnership. We should encourage partnerships between academia, industries, and government to co-create programs that address market needs. Now we see a lot of graduates that are going out there, they don't have an idea of what they are going to do. Most graduates, most schools don't practice internships. Even the schools that practice internships, they don't even, carry along. Students might not even get into an established internship program where they learn, where they have practical learning about what they've been taught in school. So we need to encourage partnerships between academia and industry, and also with the government to co-create programs that addresses the market needs. creating a sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem. You see, entrepreneurship thrives in ecosystems designed to support collaborations. They thrive in ecosystems that are designed to support innovations and inclusivity. So, if you want entrepreneurship to survive, we must inculcate collaborations, innovations, and inclusivity. Higher education institutions must therefore foster environments where students are encouraged to think beyond their conventional boundaries. Students should be encouraged to think outside their box. Students should be encouraged to think outside their learning. Students should be encouraged to think outside their classrooms. This will help us to have a sustainable entrepreneurial development and ecosystem. Let me highlight Bina Nusantara University, BINUS in Indonesia. BINUS University Startup Accelerator, right, exemplifies how academic institutions can champion entrepreneurship by providing mentorship, funding, and access to networks. The program has produced startups that addresses, diverse challenges, from affordable telemedicine solutions to renewable energy innovations. And you see, these efforts, right, demonstrate that when institutions align entrepreneurial ecosystems with the unique needs of their communities, they contribute directly to the SDGs while empowering the next generation of leaders. So BINUS University has done this. They've done, they're a case study, that has helped, that has helped startups in Indonesia, by providing mentorship. But it's not just funding alone, mentorship, guiding them on how to utilize the fundings that are given to them. Not just that, access to the network. Now, who is going to use your product that you've already made? Who is going to use the product? BINUS University's program has, opened up their entrepreneurial students to network that needs their solutions. Yeah, and it has solved a whole lot of problems. With regards to the SDG goals in energy, renewable energy, and health. So other universities, other higher education should emulate this from BINUS. What are the practical strategies for a global and broader impact? To replicate and expand the success stories from Indonesia and elsewhere, higher education institutions globally should consider the following strategies: promote interdisciplinary collaborations, break down silos between fields like engineering, business, social sciences, healthcare to spark innovative solutions. We should leverage technology. We should use digital platforms to deliver entrepreneurial trainings, to foster global connections and scale impact. We should encourage policy advocacy by working closely with the government to implement policies that reduce barrier for startups, provide seed funding, and incentivize, innovations-driven education. So with this, and also we should localize our solutions. Not you saying you want to bring a solution from Indonesia to Nigeria, whereas it can't, it's not needed in Nigeria. So we need to localize our solutions, tailoring entrepreneurial programs to address regional challenges, ensuring relevance and long-term impact. What are the roles of leadership and vision in entrepreneurial development in the SDG? The transformation we seek to require, right? It requires visionary leadership. A leader without a vision is going nowhere. So we need leaders in education. We need leaders in the industry. We need good leaders in the government who must recognize the catalytic power of entrepreneurship. By investing in students and creating enabling environment, we pave the way for a future where innovation fuels progress. Indonesia is a model for global community. Indonesia's strategic focus on entrepreneurship demonstrates what is possible when governments and institutions prioritize innovation. This is the roadmap for other countries, particularly in the global south. So unless the potential of their youth and their communities. So we're calling to action, a call to action. As we march towards the 2030 milestone, the responsibility lies with each of us to ensure that higher education institutions become launchpads for transformative ideas and sustainable change. To the educators, embed entrepreneurship in every classroom, every project, and every student interaction. Educators should go beyond classrooms. We should also teach our students beyond the four corners of the classroom. We should think outside the box while teaching our students. And to the policymakers, the call to action is to create an environment where young entrepreneurs can thrive, through funding, through access to, through giving policies that encourages ease of doing business. Many entrepreneurs don't find it easy to establish their projects. Visa issues up and down. Wanting to do business in Indonesia, Malaysia, or Nigeria. So many policies are disturbing all those. And to the students and the aspiring change makers, we should dream boldly. Think innovatively, and act courageously. So the journey to achieving the SDG begins with empowering individuals to see challenges as opportunities and to innovate solutions that transcend boundaries. Together, let us build a world where education is not just a means of knowledge, but also a catalyst for global development. Thank you for your attention. And I'm very grateful to be here to share my own visions on this topic, and on this vibrant discussion and vibrant ideas that would emerge from this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Keep applause for Mr. Ola, everyone. Okay, we are finishing to the third speaker. Now we are going to the Q&A portions. Okay.
Moderator, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apology and ask for your permission to leave this good forum. Yeah. Only because I have an obligation to examine my student, undergraduate and doctoral exam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Harry.
I'm very glad to meet you. Okay, you waiting to Bandung. I'm waiting. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Harry.
Thank you
for accompanying us
Mr.
here.
Roji. Thank you, Mr. Roji. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, everyone. The speaker today is one left, is Dr. Ola. So maybe all the questions will answer by Mr. Ola. Hello, Mr. Ola. Excuse me, before your screen is still screening. Hello, Mr. Ola. Okay, sure. We are going to open the question and answer portion. The first, okay, here in the room, Mr. Rudy Irawan Gunarto.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Mr. Rudy.
Yeah, is that only Mr. Ola one day?
Yeah, it's only Mr. Ola left here today because Miss Haryati is going to the college and also Prof. Harry.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Ola. Assalamualaikum. I'd like to ask a question for you. As you presented for your presentation, is very good. I love to. I really like your presentation. It's very good, and it makes us a good insight for us, for all of us here. My question is about entrepreneurship. There's something makes curiosity for me to understand the entrepreneurship actually. for the young students after they graduate their university, and then they have their diploma and also their graduation from their university, and they like to they want to work in the office. They like to apply to the office, not to make something like a entrepreneur, how to make money by themselves. Actually, they really not courage, the brave thing to make a company, to run a business, to make something like a income by themselves. They'd like to apply for application letter to a company actually, but it's common, I think. Everyone here in Indonesia, after their graduation, they'd like to make an application letter to a company. They really want to be called for the staff, a new staff, by becoming a staff, not becoming a entrepreneur or a businessman. My question is there something wrong with that problem, Mr. Olawande? Actually, after your presentation here, I see that there are resources gaps here that you found your presentation, including limited funding, infrastructure, mentorship, and the progress, and also anything. To my point of view, the problem is maybe after they graduation, they cannot become an entrepreneur actually because they don't have any skill, any background, any knowledge to become entrepreneur actually. But if somebody actually, especially for our government, if they push and they coach the students, I mean the students that graduate from the university, maybe they can become an entrepreneur or a businessman. But here in Indonesia, sometimes when I see on the field, as you see, the government just let them go. Something wrong with that because they have no coach, they have no something like a support system, and also anything to make the students to become entrepreneur or a businessman. That's the problem. The question is it wrong with the situation, Mr. Olawande, actually? And then what is the solution for that situation or question about this to make the graduate students to become entrepreneur or a businessman after they graduate from the university? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I answer that now?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy. I have to directly answer, Mr. Ola.
Okay, yes. So, yes, we've had that issue, right? And that is why we established the Sparrow Educational Foundation. It's a creative mind up for teenagers, right? To train teenagers, at that early stage of life on entrepreneurial skills, workshop trainings, building up that creativity in them. So yeah, the issue is that we expect too much from the government, right? And the government is not really going to give us all we need, and that is why with the private sectors, we need to come in and fill most of all those gaps, and sell our ideas to universities, to higher institutions, and say, hey, these students, we want to contribute back to our community. We want to contribute back to the SDG goals of the United Nations. This is what we have identified. Most students, when they graduate, they are not employable. They don't have the creative skills required to thrive, not just as job seekers, but also entrepreneurs. We want to start training them. I know. Yeah. So I think this is where the private sectors actually come in, bridging a gap, between the government, what the government is not doing, and the students, like what we'll be doing in the Sparrow Educational Foundation. We'll go to local communities, we go to schools, we identify students that are good academically. We have three kinds of students, right? We have students that are good in the classrooms, right? We have students that are good in sports. We have students that are good in creativity. So we identify the students, we let them know what they are good at. Oh, you that you are good in sports, okay, go and start football, go and start training on football, go and start training on cricket, start training on lawn tennis. You that you are good in creativity, what do you want to become? What are you good at in your creative skills? Is it IT? Is it agriculture? Is it developing softwares? Whatever it is, we train them. I know, you that are good in the classrooms. Do you want to go on with a white collar job? Do you want to become a professor or whatever it is? Then we guide them through that path. So I think with that, let us start with that first before the government now comes in. I know, like I mentioned, the Bina Nosatra. It will interest you to know that the Binus University startup is being run by some private guys, by some private entity, that just formed a strategic alliance with the university, and they are thriving very well. So let's be practical about it. We'll go on a private approach first. The government will definitely, we definitely want to support because you are reducing the load on them. I know. So I think that is what I think, is the solution based on what I have done in my own country, Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay. How do you answer, Mr. Rudy?
That's quite enough. But the question is, Mr. Olawande, actually, as I told you, Indonesian graduate students from university, they don't have any experience yet. I think they need support from government and also the public sector to make them to become the entrepreneur. Actually, so but time at this moment, maybe to support the students to become a entrepreneur or something like a businessman. Actually, if they don't have any experience, can they be enough to be entrepreneur or something like a businessman, even though they don't have any experience actually before they have some support from the from the government or also the public sector? Do you think they have enough experience to become the businessman, Mr. Olawande?
So you see, being a businessman, like I used to tell people, even in our jobs, right? We are all businessmen because we all have a goal, right? So it now depends on how you want to take yourself, like where I work, I act myself as an entrepreneur. I treat my job as it is my own. And that is the first thing about being an entrepreneur. You treat your thing, you treat whatever you do as if it is your own. So what I think the higher educations, right, can be doing is, that curricula, like I mentioned, we should restructure our curriculums, our academic curriculums. In Nigeria, there's it's already part of our curriculum. Entrepreneurship, it's already part of our curriculum already. So if the higher educations can start with that, on the side, it could start with the club and society. It could start with the club and society. So it's not a one-day thing. It's not like something that they just start up immediately. It could start with a club and society. It could start with a group. If you're interested in being an entrepreneur, join this group, join this club and society. So from there, we integrate it slowly into the curricula. That is what I think is more practical to do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Olawande.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy. On my point, not only the government but public service have to take their action, and also the awareness of their self, to joining the global services or pengabdian ya kalau kata kita di Indonesia. Jadi mahasiswa juga harus disuruh ikut pengabdian, gak hanya dosennya saja gitu ya. Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy. Mr. Ola, there is one lab question. Is it okay? Hello, Mr. Ola. There is one lab question on chat room. because the two speakers has left our room. So we just open for two questions. And is it enough? I think from Mr. Rudy and from Prof. Bambang Dwi Suseno. But before, I want to ask Mr. Ola. Hello, Mr. Ola. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, there is a question in chat room.
Okay, please. I would want to leave now because I have another meeting that I want to join now.
Okay, just one question. Is it okay?
Okay, let me quickly answer them.
Okay.
Late for the meeting.
Okay, I want to read first the questions from Bambang Dwi Suseno for all the speaker. The first question, how can the academic community, particularly students, significantly contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal or SDGs amid the transformative power of AI and the challenge of the unpredictable climate change? And the second question, especially, how can universities strategically leverage their resources to cultivate the human capital with the insight and competence required to address the SDGs and aligning their effort with the evolving landscape of AI and climate change? Okay.
I'm trying to get, is this question for me?
Yes, because you are here. Our two speaker has left our room, so this last question is already for you.
Okay, how can the academic community, particularly students, significantly contribute to achieving sustainable SDGs? Yes, like I mentioned, students should be part of should be innovative, joining innovative hubs and incubators, and it still boils down to the curriculum. Like I mentioned earlier, let us encourage students to join clubs and societies that are involved in entrepreneurial development. So I think that answers my questions. So though I'm a bit rushing now for a meeting that I'm late for. It's a management meeting. So I think at this point I might need to leave.
How about the especially connection with AI?
Now, yes, like I mentioned, it's AI. It's AI. It's an artificial intelligence about yourself, about what you do, what you think. If I talk to my AI understands what I need. The way I think is the way my AI also thinks. I know. So I think students should, higher education students should look into, how they can exploit the AI that is being utilized globally today. Delving deeply into it. Doing more researches on how to use AI and how to implement more on AI. I know. So that is what I think.
Okay. So one more, Mr. And how about the climate change? It's regarding to this session, climate change to the fostering entrepreneurship in higher education.
Climate change in higher education. So you see what Binance has done, right? In regards to the climate change, the renewable energy innovations and all. What I think is most universities to also do a lot of renewable energy models. The sun is so shiny now. We have less solar companies around. So and that is because we don't have good people, technical people to take up in this scheme. So this is where the higher institutions can come in. Creating more hubs, innovative hubs. That does researches and not just researches, but also gives practical solutions to most of all these things. Please, I need to leave now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ola.
Thank you very much.
Okay, may I call Prof. Bambang? Are you still here in the room?
Yes,
Okay, I hope you have satisfied for the answer from Mr. Ola. Okay, for everyone who want to ask the question for Prof. Haryati, because she left our room, there is an important things to do. So you can reach out to her email. Her email is she posts on chat room. So if you want to ask something about what we talked today, maybe you can directly reach out to her email. Okay, I think is it enough? Because only one speaker left here with us. Everybody, thank you for all your attention, participation, and contribution. We hope that you found today's discussion insightful and valuable. I'd like to extend a special thank you for our speaker, Prof. Haryati, Dr. Olawande, and Prof. Hari for sharing their experience with us, and our organizers for making this event possible. And I want to tell you some of summary from our three speaker. From Miss Prof. Haryati, Prof. Haryati said that it's not only entrepreneurship in higher education is not only important, but it's essential. Ya, and from Prof. Heri, menurut Prof. Heri bahwa kita tidak boleh hanya menciptakan ya atau mengajarkan kepada mahasiswa ini untuk mencari pekerjaan, tetapi kita harus menciptakan dari pekerjaan. We don't have to see the job, but we have to create the job. Ya, dan juga ada from our third speaker, Mr. Ola, that there are not only government but public service have to take the action, and also the student itself. Yeah, you have to join all the global society. Okay, maybe it's the end of the time. Wishing you all the best, and we look forward to see you at the future. I'm Alice Badaria. Have a great day ahead. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Olawande. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Ola. Thank you, Mr. Ola. Oke,
Absen udah dibagi di share.
Ya.
Thank you, Miss Alice.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Fahmi, the time is yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Badriah. And now we are going to closing this event. Thank you to Mr. Ahmad Rozi MM, CPH CM, and the audience. And we closing this agenda with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Pak Roji, how about the speaker's paper? Can you send it to the participant?
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Yudi, how are you?
Untuk teman-teman absennya sudah ada di link room chat ya, kalau mau mengisi absen sertifikat.
Thank you. Mr. Yudi, senyum-senyum aja, Mr. Yudi.
Gimana, jadi nggak maksi nih?
Ya, Pak Fahmi,